Hello, Gillian. How are you?
Yeah. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Gillian. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very, very well, thank you. Where are you calling from?
South Carolina.
Oh, wow. Okay. What time is it there?
It's about 9:15 a.m.
Okay, so it's not an ungodly hour.
No,
Okay, good. Good,
I
good, good.
didn't come to your last meet and greet because it was going to be at 6 a.m. It was too
Yeah, no, fair
early.
enough. I hear you. It's so difficult being slap bang in the middle, time zone wise at the moment because you try and get as optimal a time for everybody, and it's just no matter how hard you try, it's just not that possible. So.
Yeah.
But here you are now, and that's what counts.
Yes.
So great.
Very excited. I have a little list of questions.
Uh, Go for it. It's your time.
Fire away. Um, do you have a pre-show or post-show ritual that you do?
Absolutely. I always watch an episode of something extremely light if the show is a serious show, and if the show is a very light show, I watch something extremely dark just to balance that stuff out. I always have a cup of throat coat, and I have a very specific 15-minute warm up that I do. Other than that, that's it. At the end of a show, I'm militant about warming down, um, and I do not go near the stage door until I feel calm. Because if you come off stage, hyped from a show, and then you go to stage door and you're a bit crazy at stage door, that those pictures haunt you forever. So I keep a note of what my eyes are doing at all times because sometimes when I was doing Grease, I was Danny Zuko in Grease, and I had a huge dance solo in Act Two, and majority of the pictures at stage door were like, so I keep an eye.
If they asked you to do Phantom on Broadway, would you accept?
I wouldn't accept. I'd beg them to let me go early. That's honestly that's probably my biggest dream. I'm nervous because if it does happen one day, I don't know that I'd be able to come up with a dream to match that again. You know what they say about achieving your dreams. Be careful what you wish for, because when you get it, then what? But yeah, my God, I've been to the Majestic so many times. I'd love the opportunity.
Be good because then I could actually see you
Deal,
in the
deal.
role.
Yeah.
um, Now you played Raoul briefly, right?
Well, I mean that's up for debate. I did one sitz probe as Raoul, and then the following night I was put on as the Phantom, just to give our original Phantom an extra night to recover because he still hadn't found his voice yet. And then I stayed in the role. So I've never actually performed Raoul for a paying audience.
Was it weird, like transitioning from Raoul to the Phantom?
No, I was actually more comfortable in the Phantom because I'd rehearsed both at the same time.
Oh,
And I hadn't had as much time rehearsing Raoul as I'd had rehearsing Phantom because our Phantom had been ill and he was out of rehearsal often. So the biggest stress for that entire sort of first run that I had in Cape Town, I didn't know who I was playing until sort of 1 o'clock every day.
oh wow.
So I was mentally I was exhausted at the end of that because it was just because I wanted to be the Phantom. I'm not going to lie, um, and I was I wasn't necessarily wishing ill on the Phantom, but I was like, well, if he has to go, I'll be ready for the challenge. But I became attached to the role very, very quickly. You have that first performance of Music of the Night in front of an audience when you've never done it in your life before. You never want to sing All I Ask of You ever again. You know, so
Yeah. Let's see. What is a show that you haven't done that you want to do?
um, there's two answers to that. The one answer is shows that I have been written. So I'd love to do something like a Jekyll and Hyde. But the other answer is shows that haven't been written yet, and perhaps there's a composer out there who'd want to write a role for me in an original show. So it doesn't exist yet. I don't know what it's called, but I hope for that because that's the only way you can win a Tony is with an original show. So
That's true.
you know,
What is a show that you've done in the past that you'd like to do again?
I'd probably like to do Sweeney Todd again. I really enjoyed that. I think you're picking up a theme. I'm basically giving you old Victorian horror, novels by Robert Louis Stevenson and Penny Dreadfuls. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. In terms of lighter shows, I tell you what I'd like to do, because I know the revival's going to Broadway, is I'd love to do Pharaoh again in Joseph. Andrew Lloyd Webber has that marvelous production from the Palladium that's going across to New York at some point. I'd love to be part of that because that's the best role I've ever played in terms of minimal effort for maximum applause. My God, I sang two songs. And I only had to be at the theatre at intermission. It was fantastic.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Would you do another Hallmark movie?
No,
No.
absolutely not. Film is not my medium at all. I need an audience. I need to feed off energy. And the whole Hallmark experience, whilst I'm very grateful that I've done one, the blueprint required is I'm not well suited for that. Let's put it that way. So, yeah.
After seeing your Hallmark movie, I kind of agree. You're not very Brad. I also don't get why she chose the other guy over Brad.
It was odd. It was odd. But thank you for that. I appreciate that.
If you could only play one role for the rest of your life, what role would you play?
Oh, I'm doing that at the moment. I could do this for the rest of my life, honestly. When I first played it, I was 24 and I was young and stupid. And I wasn't really aware of what a gift it was, in the sense that it was changing my life. In retrospect, now I know it changed my life. But to be able to be doing, literally last year during COVID, Phantom saved my life. I stayed working through the entire pandemic. You don't view a role the same after something like that. So the idea that I could perhaps potentially stay on the world tour for the next 5 years, I totally would. If they'll have me, I'll stay. It's just the best role, cathartically. I have therapy every night, but they pay me to go. I get to work out all my stuff. I get to cry. I get to scream. I get to sing. And then I get to bow at the end of it. It's just bizarre, I'm very, very attached to it.
Now, you did the Phantom and then you took a break and you came back. So did your approach to the
I
role
like the way you
change?
said that. I was actually kicked off the last world tour because they needed a Broadway name to keep the show selling well in Asia back then. So they only offered me Manila. They never actually offered me the tour. So I really appreciate you calling it a break. Yeah.
Did your approach to the role change between
Oh
your
my
runs?
God, yes. Oh my God, yes. Basically, I had 8 years between runs, and I did a lot of living in those 8 years. I had a lot of loss. I had a lot of happiness. I had a lot of not pain, but things to bounce back from. Let's put it that way. Whereas when I was 24, I was like, "Oh, I'm playing the Phantom. This is fantastic." But now that I went back to it, 2 years ago, I had a lot more life to infuse it with, an understanding of the smaller moments in Phantom. When he climbs over the angel before he says, "I gave you my music," there's that beat. I understood more about why he takes his breath there than anywhere else in the show because I've had those moments myself. So yeah, certainly.
So now, how do you transition from like one role like the Phantom to like a completely different role? Do you do a lot of research and do you watch like other performers who have done the role before you?
I never ever Google somebody else until week 4 of my rehearsal period. Once I go into tech, then I see what somebody else did. Because by then my stuff's crystallized. But going from, it honestly, it depends on how well written the show is. If there's enough information for me in the script and in the score, great. But when I have to really dig and find something or some sort of motivation, then we have trouble.
I'm really sorry to interrupt once again. sorry, Gillian, time is up, I'm afraid. That's been the 10 minutes. We've got the next person.
Thank you for some really interesting questions there, Gillian. I really
Awesome.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful morning.
Thank you, you too.
See ya.
You, Gillian. See you later.